in our Thrive movies, we really promote the non-aggression principle, which leads logically to voluntarism, as opposed to political, capital L, libertarianism, which is minarchy, meaning small government. There's a joke in the libertarian community that, what's the difference between a minarchist and an anarchist? And the answer is about 6 months. When I was listening to your conversation with Eric July, you made a comment that some taxation is theft. And Eric jumped in and said, well, I think all taxation is theft. So let me ask you, do you think there is taxation that is not theft?
That's a good question. I certainly feel like there are degrees to it. I mean, there are forms of taxation, for example, inheritance tax, or even, income tax, certain wealth taxes, etc., which are very directly, I'm like, okay, that's just extortion, right? Something like, I don't know, like sales taxes, because they are voluntary to some degree. Like, I don't know, say if there's a tax on cigarettes, right? Is that theft? I mean, you don't have to buy the cigarettes, and you understand, okay, by buying them, there's that. That's why I know the super hardcore libertarians will, it's hardline, all taxation is theft. With me, it's kind of like, okay, I generally get that principle and know why people say it. But I feel like, okay, there are certain types of taxes, like, let me say sales taxes in particular, where I'm like, that could potentially be applied, but it's not in the same way that it's the government literally just showing up and being like, oh, like, give us what you got right there. It's not like, oh, I just taking money for nothing sort of thing. So that's, to me, where it's a little bit blurry.
I think these are important distinctions, because I think if we're going to make it as a species, we're going to transition through a more and more minarchist society, ultimately to a stateless society. And in that transition, the more egregious transgressions like income tax and wealth tax and that kind of stuff, if that disappeared, you could kind of wean human beings off having to pay our rulers by having it be based on your expenditures. I think ultimately when government disappears, then those taxes can disappear also, because you don't have to fund this fictitious entity that claims the right to rule over the rest of us. So I think the nuances are going to be really important in transition. We had a few weeks ago, we had Dominic Frisby on. Do you know him?
I know the name.
Yeah, check him out. He's in the UK. Very entertaining guy. He's probably the world's expert on the history of taxation. He's just written a really entertaining and authoritative book on it. We had this same discussion. I think it's one of the most important discussions we can be having as we're phasing out authoritarianism.